Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Cannon Chatter TV. I'm G Talks Arsenal, your host for episode 6, believe it or not, of the Rumour Mill for this summer. And as you can see, I'm joined by a fellow Cannon Chatter member, and obviously, featured guest for the vast majority of these shows, apart from when you was on holiday, Bobby Brown. How you doing, Bobby?
Yeah, man, I'm blessed, man. Looking forward to talking about Arsenal. As always, it's been some hot stuff going on these last weeks. So yeah, man, let's go.
It is, and like I said, it's weird one because it seems to blow really hot and then really cold, and then hot again and then cold again. And today seems to have been one of those hot days. We've had lots of kind of recent links today with obviously the Tillemans deal. We've had lots of links with Savage. Even most recently, just before we've come on air, there's been some rumors that Martinez himself from Ajax, the Ajax versatile defender, was potentially at London Colney today. So yeah, it's all happening. It's all happening, and it's good that news is breaking on days when we're doing our shows. So yeah, we're gonna get right into it. We'll run the intro, and we'll see you on the other side.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened.
Yes. Like I said, good evening, everyone. G Talks Arsenal here with my co-host and Cannon Chat member, Bobby. We're all good. We've done our introductions. We're not going to waste any more time. We're literally just going to jump straight into it. We're here to talk transfers for episode 6 of the Rumour Mill. And we're going to kick the show off with GUENDOUZI joins Marseille. We thought we'd get the negative stuff out the way first. We thought we'd talk about the spoilt brat, the guy with the attitude, the one we had to get rid of, at the dressing room. Don't come and mess up our vibe. So we're going to get this one out the way real quick. Thoughts, Bobby, on the Mr. GUENDOUZI joining Marseille on a permanent transfer?
Well, I've touched on this before on various Rumour Mills of various kind of chat shows. Glad he's gone. Didn't fit. Maybe technically he was okay, but attitude-wise he wasn't. And with Lukonga coming in, who's of the same age and profile, we haven't really got time to wait for him. So it was quite our losses. I think we only paid 7 million for him. Got 10 mil for him. Throw that 3 mil on Marquinhos. You know what I mean? Nice. We move on.
100%. And you know what? Like GUENDOUZI is one of those players that I think we can all, bias aside, obviously things didn't work out. We could all see that, there was a player there. He's a player of some quality. I do think that Arsenal fans, sections of Arsenal fans, have somewhat hyped up how good he is, as they often do when, there seems to be a bit of a conflict between player and club. It's almost like Arsenal fans fall into two categories. It's either, you support the club and the decisions they make, or you kind of side with the player. And you see the notion or the concept of fanboys. Certain sections of the fan base that tend to kind of follow players' careers more than they actually the fortunes of the clubs. And I do think GUENDOUZI had the potential, or not even the potential, did kind of fall into that category. So for me, as soon as I see that there's a bit of a conflict between manager and player, 99% of the time, I'm going to side with the club and I'm going to side with the manager. I think on a very rare occasion, I might, if there are some kind of contributing factors or circumstances, I might look a little bit deeper into it. But when I look at some of the, the issues we've had previously with the likes of Ozil, the likes of Aubameyang, I've 100% supported and backed the club in the decisions they've made. And for me, it's no different with GUENDOUZI. Definitely a quality player, but I think, Arsenal fans, with their eyes open, can definitely see that, there's a bit of an attitude problem there. He's caused issues every single club he's gone to, whether that be at Arsenal or a loan spell. So yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. I'm glad he's gone. I wish him all the best. No hard feelings. And we just move. So yeah, thought we'd get that one out of the way because obviously it's Arsenal related. We are going to be covering ins and outs, and that definitely was one of the outs that was confirmed over the last kind of 7 days or so since we've been on the air. So next one, as we speak, obviously, the first team pre-season has started. I think that was Monday of last week, I believe. Since then, we've had a friendly against Ipswich. Obviously, you know, somewhat of a weakened team. Eddie Nketiah banged a hat-trick, 5-1 win, comfortable win. And since then, obviously, the boys have jetted off to Germany. Lots of the first team, not all of them, but lots of them. So we have seen pictures surfacing of, you know, the likes of Jesus joining up with the team, Turner, Marquinhos, the right winger from Brazil that we've signed. But interestingly enough, not so much those three players, the new signings, because I think we all imagined, you know, they would join up with the squad. And I think this window, what we've wanted to see Arsenal do is to be proactive. It's to be quick in the market, get the signings done, which so far we're doing. And so the players can have a decent pre-season under the belt, something that it doesn't feel like we've done for years, to be honest, in the market. But what I really want to kind of quiz you on or just kind of, you know, get your thoughts on is with regards some of the players that are there that don't potentially have, you know, a future at Arsenal. So I've seen pictures of Ainsley there. I've seen pictures of Mari, Bellerin, some of the other players, you know, that are there in and around the squad. What are your thoughts about, you know, having first team members of the squad that don't necessarily have a future at the club part of the first team set up and on tour for pre-season?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to your point what you was just making about there being like you know what you were saying before, and it's exactly the same thing. Sorry, what was the point again? It was
So with regards, obviously they're off from pre-season.
Yeah, well, I get it now. It's basically what I was meaning is that with players. You saying it takes a while for players to be there for us to be signed and to have them in time for pre-season. It's exactly the same as the players leaving. Transfer deals take a long time. So it's the same with outs as it is with ins. So you're going to have players that you're probably targeting for your team that the deal's going to take longer. Maybe it'll take after you've had certain friendlies and after you've gone on your tour or whatever. Yep. Like if you remember, certain deals last season weren't done till after the first few games of the season.
Yeah.
And also, you know that the transfer period always heats up more towards the end than it does at the beginning. So having those players that are going to leave doesn't really bother me. If anything, it's good because it shows new players coming in that what the level's supposed to be, and also it keeps them fit for potential moves away. Also, it keeps them friendlies if they're doing well in friendlies. You know, it could add to their potential sales. So I don't mind players that are rumoured to be leaving, being part of the squad. They're Arsenal players. They've all got to be treated accordingly. It is good to get players in early, but obviously, as we know, with the transfer market, that's not always the case. But you know, the fact that we've got 4 or 5 in already is a good sign. The fact that Jesus is there, Matt Turner, I saw him there as well, and Marquinhos, and obviously Vieira's got a soft injury, but he's still there because he's still in pictures. So that's a good sign that at least we've got 4 players there early. But you know, still, as you said before, the season's 4 weeks away. Yeah, so we've still got time, you know. So as long as they're fit and they're ready, and they're top level professional football players, it's not going to take them long to get up to speed and to get fit. So I think it's more about getting them up in tune with Mikel Arteta's ideas and his methods. So I don't mind them being part of the team at all.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is because like there's been obviously since Arsenal, you know, released, you know, the images of the squad being in Germany, you know, some really great content, some really good pictures, you know. If you haven't checked it out, I suggest anybody watching to check it out. There's been a lot of kind of, I've noticed on like the comments and stuff and like tweets that have come after, and it's been like, you know, why is this player there? Why is that player there? You know, then they've obviously not got a future at the club. And that's why I asked you, because it seems like there's like a difference in opinion, you know, amongst Arsenal fans. But I think you hit the nail on the head in that, you know, these players are contracted employees of Arsenal. You know what I mean? They are under contract, like, and also, so it's like the players have a duty to the club, and the club have a duty to the player. You know, they have to report for pre-season. It's part of their contract. It's like you can't just not turn up for work because you decide you want to leave Tesco's and you want to go and get a job at McDonald's. It doesn't work like that. So they're contracted to Arsenal. They have to turn up for pre-season.
Like what Ronaldo's done.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Unless you're Ronaldo, and unless your club is run like Manchester United. But hey, that's not us. So we won't say no more on that. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think it's important. I think it's important that they stay in shape. I think it's important. I think also we don't need to be naive enough to think that if these players are on a preseason tour, their agents are not working, their teams are not working. You know, we've got Teams, you've got video, you've got Skype, you've got email. You know, these guys could very well have a medical in Germany and then be off on a jet, you know, to Lisbon or whatever. So I think it's a bit like naive to think that even if Arsenal and Mikel Arteta and Edu see these players' futures elsewhere, for them to then leave them at home, you know, doing what? It's just not the real world. Completely honest. And as you've said, you know, the season is still, you know, 3-4 weeks away, but the window doesn't close until, you know, a couple of weeks after the first league game. I think it's about 3 or 4 league games.
Come up on Sky today. It's 57 days. So.
Yeah, so you know, there's a long time still left in the window, and as you said, you know, the window does tend to heat up the closer you get to it. No problem. I don't know if you've seen some of the images of Marquinhos. I just wanted to touch upon him because we've seen Jesus doing his thing in training. Obviously, more of that to come on the pitch in the Prem. Turner, you know, seems to be quite vocal. I think the videos I've seen, he seems to be working on his distribution quite a bit in the videos I've seen. But one thing I want to say about Marquinhos, he's not built like a normal 19-year-old, is he?
He's looking hench, man. He's looking a bit Ux, isn't he? You remember when we signed Ux, and Ux was looking like a fully grown man already? Yeah, he looks massive. Yeah, but
I was gobsmacked, to be honest.
Built for the Prem. And hopefully he can be like have the same kind of impact that Martinelli had under Emery. Maybe throw him in the first few games and see what he does. You never know. You know
Definitely. I'll be honest. I was surprised. Like, I'd seen videos of him, but to be honest, it was the same videos that were circulating. They were just getting regurgitated. Different accounts were posting them. And when you looked online, there was actually very little footage of him actually in a live match like scenario. So, do you know what I mean? But it didn't come across in terms of like his size or his stature when I was watching those videos. But seeing him side by side with the likes of Jesus, Gabriel, and Martinelli, he looks an absolute unit. Like physically, he's definitely not going to struggle in the Premier League. You know, whether or not he's going to feature largely in and around like the first 11, you know, only time will tell. I guess obviously pre-season will tell us a lot, but I think the fact that he's there and the fact that he's working with the first team already, I think is only a good thing. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled on, you know, what the immediate future holds for Marquinhos. Now, before
England women scored 1-0.
What's that? England
women.
Get in. Lottie, our very own Lottie, Cannon Chat member, she's at the game. So big Lottie, yeah, she's at the game. Yeah, so big up Lottie still. Before we get into like obviously talking about some players, there is something that I wanted to discuss with you, Bobby. And I know like we both have our opinions, and those of you in the chat, you know, please do put your opinions across with regards to this. Now, you know, I want to know what your feelings are about the debate over Arsenal taking too long with new signing announcements. Now, I think this has come about, to be honest, it's something that's been, you know, a debate that's been, you know, floating around on Twitter for years, to be honest, as long as I can remember. But I think it was massively hyped up with the Jesus signing, because obviously we got the here we go from Fabrizio, you know, we got the Orni, you know, tweet. And to be honest, it did take a significant amount of time before we actually got the official announcement, which was on Monday this morning. But what are your thoughts about, you know, Arsenal taking too long to announce a player, which then kills the hype of the signing? Where do you stand in that debate?
Well, you got to remember, I grew up in the era of newspapers and teletext. And you didn't find out about signings until the player was on the pitch holding the shirt. You didn't hear no speculation. You didn't know whether he was interested in a player. It just they just happened. So for me, it doesn't really make that much difference. I don't understand. I don't know what is taking too long. I don't know what that is. I don't if you've signed the player why do you have to? Why is there a rush to announce it? As long as he's signed, that's all that matters, really. But for me, I just think it's the internet. It's just purely because of the internet. It's because of media. It's because we're getting you're getting information leaked to you about certain things. Then we get. I mean, we're all. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm doing it right now. I'm expectant on an Orny post to do with Savage, because I probably saw some bullshit post that is telling me that we're interested in him because I really like the player. Now I'm so fully invested in that, and it's what the internet does, isn't it? It's kind of like a formula almost. So it's whether you get involved or whether you don't get involved, isn't it? It's almost like a merry-go-round. You know what I mean? But it's no. For me, the club have obviously got their reasons why they announce information and why they do things when they do things. They've got their own reasons. But in the larger scheme of things, when those players are playing, when the season starts, and they're scoring goals or they're performing badly or they're injured, the last thing we're all thinking about is how they were announced. None of us care.
100%.
The most important thing is how they perform for us, So it's sometimes it's important to see the bigger picture with this. We've signed Jesus. That's it. We signed him. Doesn't matter what he gets announced. He's ours now. You know what I mean? And I just think it's because of the internet. It kind of feeds us little bits, and then we all get carried away, and then we all get impatient. You know what I'm saying? Because we've had a year of Lacazette. We can't wait for our number.
We're desperate for the announcement. Do you know what I mean?
We had the Dusan Vlahovic carrot dangled in front of us. We've had Isaac's car driving through London. We've had this. So we've been desperate for a proper world-class striker, number 9, for a long time, and now we've got one. So I think that's not helped as well, has it? Because we've been so desperate for that. Me myself personally as well. But as I said to you before, I saw all the pieces, and I thought, this one's going to work. That's why I thought it was like 80% going to happen. So I kind of just sat back and waited for that to happen. But for me, there's more important because we didn't lose top 4 or didn't lose our position in the league last season because of a striker. I think it was because we didn't have backup for Kieran Tierney for Partey. So those signings are more important for me. And that when we announce players really isn't.
No, definitely. I completely agree because, for me, I remember when there were times when we would go on holiday, whether that be a staycation in the UK or whether that be abroad. And I don't know whether it was, it must have been a combination of social media wasn't at its height, but also my activity on social media wasn't as active as I am now, because I remember going down the caravan or, staycation or going abroad. And I remember, almost like running to the shop on a Monday morning to get the newspaper to find out, what was the back page headline. I still remember Sol Campbell finding out about the Sol Campbell signing on teletext. But you hit the nail on the head in terms of the internet and social media. It's everything nowadays is so instant. Do you know what I mean? You want a takeaway, boom, you go on your phone. It's at your house 20 minutes. You want to get your bank details, boom, online banking. Before, you used to go to the cash point, put your PIN in and show your balance and print out a receipt. Do you know what I mean? The world has changed in terms of how we access information. And it's like you said, the information is so quick, it's so instant. It's it's almost made us impatient. Do you know what I mean? So it's like when I look at the whole...
sorry, you know how I see it? I just want to make a quick point. How I see it in its beauty. I work with several Arsenal fans throughout because I work for an agency, so I go to various hospitals. But there's a couple of hospitals I go to where there's these 2 old African guys, and they don't do internet at all. But they're really, really passionate about Arsenal. Now, the one I've been working with for the last 3 weeks, I told him about the Gabriel Jesus signing. And he's excited. His excitement. But this was
you told him.
This has been going on for weeks. And I haven't seen him because I've been on holiday and things. So we talk about Arsenal for pretty much every time we see each other. And I said to him, he wasn't even, because I hadn't seen him. even though we was in the same hospital, I don't actually see him every day, and I actually saw him on yesterday. So obviously we announced it on Monday, but I saw him yesterday, and I said, "Oh, you know, we've signed Jesus," and he was like, "Have we?" He was like, "Nah." At first, he was like, "Nah, we haven't got from Manchester City." He was like, "Nah, we haven't got him. Show me." I was like, "I'll be phone out to get up." He was like, he was like doing all this, looking at his phone. He's like, "How we get him? That's Mikel. That is Mikel. That is."
You see that? That's beautiful, man.
And then like, I saw him again later on in the day. Everyone's lists were a bit light, so everyone was in the coffee room, and he was then coming to me, telling me stuff about. He told me that I've just watched his interview. He said he signed because he trusts the process. He's a massive Mikel Arteta fan as well. Okay. So you know, seeing that in its purity shows you that the internet can have a really negative effect on people, on most Arsenal fans, but then there's some that still just...
And it does, because like as soon as we'd signed Jesus, it was who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Whereas like for me, I know more's coming. You know, you just have to look at, you just have to see the you know what the club is saying. You just have to look at the rumours and the activity we've done already from the likes of Edu and Mikel Arteta to just sit back. For me, this is one of the most exciting but relaxed I've ever been in a transfer window, because I'm looking at it and I know them man are cooking.
They're doing.
I know they are. Do you know what I mean?
There, man.
This is what I'm saying. So I'm pretty chilled. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty chilled. Like I'm loving the business we've done so far, and I know there's more to come. I can almost guarantee that we're going to bring somewhere in between 2 to 4 players, you know, in this window between now and the end of the window. So I'm pretty chilled. Right? When it happens, it happens. How they announce it, I'm pretty chilled, because I think, you know, the way we've been in this window so far, it's not something I can remember for a long time. So I'm pretty chilled, you know, just about how, you know, how we're managing the window, how we're addressing key areas of the squad. So for me, it's all good, man. It's all good. We'll go to the chat. We've got, obviously, those guys updated us with, obviously, the England score, as Bobby did. We've got Lee here saying, one of our Canon Chatter members, Jesus, I believe, had a work permit issue to sort out. That's what one of the things were. It was rumored that there was a bit of a work permit issue, which was resolved, which delayed the announcement. Jamie here saying, so it's been said, Lee, Arsenal always struggle to get work permits. Wellington Silver, Joe Campbell, etc. Very long, drawn-out work permit issues, which is true. They have been in the past. Yeah. Was a relatively easy one to do, just needed the paperwork to get sorted. There we go. So that's cleared that up. Now, we're moving on swiftly tonight. Literally just before we came on air, news broke. Now, Lisandro Martinez is a player that we've been linked for a very, very long time. And to just kind of give people a bit of a backstory or context, if they're not on Twitter or if they're not, you know, following, you know, all the rumors that have been circulating, it seems to have come down to a race between us and Manchester United. And by all accounts, we're neck and neck. Some people are reporting that both bids have been accepted from both United and Arsenal. Some people are reporting that no bid has been accepted, but personal terms have been agreed for both teams. Now, you've got, obviously, United in the race, Ten Hag, his old manager, obviously Van der Sar, CEO at Ajax, with that, obviously, Manchester United-Ajax relationship. But you've also got reports saying that Martinez is absolutely blown away by Arsenal's project. He's really keen on joining Arsenal. And then there are other reporters saying that it's entirely now at this stage up to the player. Some people saying it's literally a toss of a coin. Now, just before we came on air, there is a Instagram account. I'm going to shout out, obviously, where I found out the information. We don't know whether it's true. We don't know whether it's false. But the Arsenal Addict Instagram page basically a couple of hours ago put on their Instagram that Lisandro Martinez's agents were at London Colney today to see Arsenal, and also put up an exclusive of that, and also put up some pictures of some cars. Now, sections of the fan base, very skeptical. They feel as though he's already, you know, certain to go to Manchester United. Other sections of the fans, like myself, Bobby a little bit, are well excited about this, absolutely buzzing. So, like, yeah, talk to me. How do you see this going with this whole Martinez deal? Like, and how crucial would it be for us to secure this guy's signature, particularly because we're going head to head with United?
I mean, going head to head with United, I don't know about all of that because I don't really believe any of the hype. It's all rumors. We don't know what's true. We don't know what's true, what's not true. We don't know if those are his cars. We don't even know. All we know is that Orny said that we've made it. We've spoke to Ajax and that we intend to make a bid. We haven't even had any confirmation that we have made a bid, or how much it was or anything, or whether it's been accepted. So. We don't exactly know what's going on. All we do know is that the player's quality and the player will definitely add to Arsenal. I look at what's going on at Man United, and I think that if I was a player, which one would I want to join? And I think us signing Gabriel Jesus, and I think that we probably, because Ornstein did say that we've been made contacts with the player a while ago, so before the season ended. So he probably knew that our interest came way before Ten Hag was manager at Man United. So I don't know. This is all stuff that I want to believe. It's not stuff that we know that's concrete, is it? For me, it's just all speculation. Quality player that we know will obviously add something to us. I think the player will actually rise himself as well, playing for Arsenal, playing under Mikel Arteta, around the players that we've got. So yeah, I'm all for the signing. I want it to happen. I'm not going to get too carried away with it though. But yeah, it's hard not to, isn't it?
I can see you're trying to hold it in, bro. You're trying to hold it in. Not getting too much. I've already put a tweet out with eyes saying about the Arsenal fanatics Instagram post. So yeah, man, I want this one to happen. Beating Man United to him would just sweeten it, even if it was seen to be that they were in for him as well, sort of thing, But with Cristiano Ronaldo wanting to leave and the state that squad's in, would you want to go to Man United right now? We're more ahead in our rebuild, than they are. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. No, definitely. As far as I'm concerned, his agents were at Cody. We're signing him, and it's just a matter of time
until it gets announced. Announce Martinez now.
Announce him now. We want Martinez. No, but listen, all jokes aside, like I said, I think, before we went on the air, I think the most important thing about the transfer window is, some people love it, some people hate it. It's like Marmite. And it's one of those things where I think the only way you can fully enjoy it is to really balance the fine line between, excitement and getting too invested. And like we've both said, on our shows, the Vlahovic thing, back in the day with Higuain and so forth, we got to that point where, we crossed the line. We got too invested, and obviously, a transfer, fell through or didn't materialize, or to be honest, it was all bollocks the whole time. Whereas for me, I feel like this window, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it because Arsenal are being proactive. We're making signings. We're definitely active in the market. You just have to look at the fact that we put down 55 million for Rafinha. That tells me that we are going into this market with intent. We've made 4 signings. I think it's only Spurs is the only team in the Premier League that signed more players than us. So that says it all, for me. So I'm massively excited, and one of the main reasons why I'm excited is because of the caliber of player we're signing. When you look at Matt Turner, I'm not saying he's a quality player, but he's a player we needed. He's a player that we needed for our squad. When you look at Marquinhos, he's an exciting prospect. Very, very, very minimal risk there. If that doesn't work out, that's a very clever strategic one, because what Edu was also doing in that situation was building a relationship with that club, who have produced some fantastic players. Yeah. When you look at the Gabriel Jesus one, in terms of the striker market, at that Champions League level for 45 million, you ain't going to find a better deal. No. It's that simple. You can talk about Osimhen, you can talk about Darwin Núñez, you can talk about those players. Those players are either on the level of Jesus. Some people would say they're not. Some people would say they're slightly ahead, depending on opinion. But Liverpool just, forked out 80, 90 million for Núñez. And Osimhen is going to cost the same. So in terms of the Jesus still, it's a fantastic coup for Arsenal Football Club, considering, we couldn't attract any big names for the fact we weren't in the Champions League. When you look at Vieira, the quality he possesses, you know, the most creative player in the Portuguese league. If you look at the goals and assists and the way he plays, he is a massively exciting prospect. One of the best in Portugal. If you speak to anybody that knows anything about the national team or the Portuguese league, so I'm gassed. I'm absolutely excited about the players we're bringing in. And when I look at the links in terms of the players we're potentially moving for, we're talking about Savic, we're talking about Tielemans, we're talking about Martinez. We've bidded for Rafinha, even though it looks like he's going Barca. Listen, we missed out on Rafinha, but
don't get excited about it, isn't it?
Just look at what we're doing. Like, just be excited about the window. If we miss out on certain targets, we miss out on them. If we don't, we will have a plan. We will have an alternative in terms of who we can bring in. And if we don't, we will move for them in January, and if not January, next summer. So this is the first time in a long time that I can talk about my club with such confidence and with such excitement. And the reason why that is because I'm seeing it in front of my eyes. You know, that's all I can say. So I think, you know, if you're going to enjoy the transfer market, you've got to kind of open your eyes to seeing how Arsenal are doing their business, but you also got to not take it too seriously. At the end of the day, you know, like I said, you know how much I wanted Rafinha deal to go through. I was talking about it days after Arsenal would withdraw from it, you know, thinking, but if Barca don't pay and Chelsea go weak, I was doing all sorts. But for me, it was all fun. The fact that we've missed out on him now, and we go and sign maybe Asensio or a Gnabry or whatever, I'd be happy with that. I'm content. So just don't take it too seriously, Gooners, man. That's all I'm saying, man. And just enjoy the ride, because there's a long time between now and the 1st of September. Who knows who we're going to bring in between now and then. So we've got some more comments here. Let's see. Actually, we've got one here. GK saying, salute, fellas. Salute to yourself. Good evening to you. Now, the next point I'm going to take you or actually quiz you on, or, you know, ask you some questions, is one that I know really excites you, Bobby. And it's crazy because you actually mentioned this player a couple of streams ago. I'm not sure if it was before the end of the season or one of our Rumour Mills. I'm not sure if we were linked with him or whatever, but you mentioned obviously Savic, you know, the Serbian player that plays for Lazio. Now, a lot of conflicting reports again today. Lots of reports, even English press, predominantly the Italian press, but I say the Italian press is not always the most reliable, but Mark Irwin, the journalist for The Sun, also not always the best in terms of reliability, says that a move for Savic is very much a possibility. There are also reports that we bidded somewhere in the region of 45 to 55 million, but that was turned down. And Lazio reported to want somewhere in the region of 60 to 70 million. Now, on the flip side of that, you've got Tielemans, who, by all accounts, all the top journals are basically saying we've been working on this deal for over a year. You know, we're in constant, you know, communication with him, with his reps. And the noise coming out is that he wants the Arsenal move. There's no other option. He wants to stay in the Premier League. He's not signing a new contract. The conflict or the hurdle is that supposedly Arsenal only want to pay about 25, even though Leicester are looking at more £40 million figure. But, you know, obviously early in the window, we'll see how that one unfolds. But at the moment, you're seeing a lot of Savic, Tielemans, because not a lot of people envision Arsenal slapping down, say, 90 million on two midfielders, given how overstocked we are in that midfield. So, first of all, for you, obviously, if it was a choice between Savic or Tielemans, who are you going for and why?
For me, I'm going for Savic. Savic would elevate us in ways that I don't think Tielemans could. I think Tielemans is a nice player, he's good. And I think Tielemans raises the floor of our squad. Mm-hmm. And I think he does improve our first 11 over Xhaka. He's an improvement on Xhaka, but Savic is one of the best in his position in the world, probably top 5 in the world. Not many better centre midfielders than him. He's a goal-scoring midfielder. I don't think he's scored less than 7 goals since 2015 in a season. But he's also his average GA every season between 15 and 20.
Phenomenal. Last season it was 22. I think 22 or 23. I think 12 goals and 11 assists.
Yeah. So that for that kind of return, in terms of what Xhaka does for the party job, obviously. It's a no-brainer for me. I've liked that player for a long time. He's one of those players that does all those He does all them like lollipops, and he can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to see videos of him. You know, when they like do a couple of keepy uppies and then send the ball into the goal from behind the goal, the corner flag. Like I've seen him do that kind of stuff from when he was young. So I've always kind of looked out for him. He's one of those players that's always plays for Lazio. He's like an ever present in their team. It's just you'll always see him playing.
Do you have any concerns? Two things that I've seen pop up on the timeline a lot amongst Arsenal fans is that a concern that one, he's been at Lazio for the time he's been and nobody's really taken a fancy to him, and two, could he, would there be a potential delay in him transitioning from Serie A to the Premier League? So first one being, are you worried that nobody else is in for him? And two, could he transition from the Italian football to the Premier League?
I think no one's in for him because he's been so valuable to Lazio. I don't think it's because I think Lazio kind of viewed him as kind of untouchable since he went there, because he went there quite young. I'm sure he went there from Belgium. I think maybe from Genk or something like that.
All I know, he's been there time.
I think he went there when he was like 19, and he's pretty much been in their first team ever since. So he's a bit like Koulibaly.
Perfect example. Yeah, Napoli. Yeah, perfect example.
Like, or I've referred to him before, a bit like Hamsik.
Yeah,
Hamsik stayed at Napoli pretty much his whole career, and he was still one of the best midfielders in that league for the whole time he was there. And he carried Napoli in Champions League and in Europe for year after year. So he's always been a top midfielder, but he never went anywhere. And sometimes players do stay at one club for a long time, don't they? It doesn't mean to say that they're not going somewhere else. I said it in the chat today. I think it's more to do with levels than it is to do with levels and the player's mentality than it is to do with their ability. Because you see players who aren't very good sometimes come to this league or aren't of the top level. Like take for instance the boy that went to West Ham, Susek. Is it Susek?
Yeah.
Like his first season, he was brilliant. He scored lots of goals. He kind of that West Ham team. Everyone forgot about Martin Noble. Him and Rice formed a really good partnership, and they got West Ham into the European places. So if a player's good, if he's played every single game for Lazio for the last how many years, I don't think him coming to the Premier League is going to be a problem. But same time, I really like Tielemans. He's a good player. He's been very good for Leicester. Leicester have risen over the last few years since they've won the Premier League. They've been like a consistent top 6-7 team, and he's been a massive part of that. So we know what he can do. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think that he comes into our team, and I just think that for me, I'd buy him and I'd buy Savic.
Well, I was going to say this kind of leads me on to my next point. Do you obviously right now? We are moving. We're moving mad in the window. We've signed Vieira for like 40-odd million. We've signed Jesus for 45 million. 10 million probably between Turner and Marquinhos. We bidded 55 million for Rafinha. That was heavily reported. Could you envision Arsenal potentially buying the two of them?
I could envision just buying the two of them, but that would be from my point of view, from the club's point of view, and what we're doing. It doesn't seem to be like we're doing that kind of thing. That kind of thing. It seems like he wants to have a small hybrid squad. The way that he got rid of players and didn't add any in January kind of shows us all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
if you remember when he first came to the club, it was a period you didn't know what the team was going to be.
Week by week, you didn't know.
Week by week, he was constantly changing it, wasn't it?
Frustrating, bro.
but last season, you pretty much knew who was going to play every week. Because he pretty much played the same team and he made the same sub. Some weeks he wouldn't even make a sub. So I think we can see where he's heading, and I think he's going to be choosing players like Savic that don't get injured very often, that play a lot of games every season, that are reliable, that are good characters, because he's been captain a few times as well. So yeah, man, I could see us buying both, but I don't think that we would, because we bought Vieira, who will probably be the backup to Odegaard, and we've got Lokonga, Elneny, and Partey for the 6. Then we've kind of got Xhaka. So I see
We're
someone
heavily stocked. We're heavily stocked in the midfield.
Yes, so I see someone else coming in to be like the hybrid Xhaka in that 8 role.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that it also depends on what happens this summer. We never know. Xhaka could leave. We don't know what's going on with all this controversy as well. That could be one of our players who could end up leaving. That could change our transfer plans. It could be happening now behind the scenes for all we know.
Yeah.
So I'd definitely buy both if it was me. Because you have a good stacked squad. If one wasn't playing, you play the other. You know, and in all your competitions, you'd be strong. But I can't see it happening.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there. I think the transfer window is an ever evolving scenario, isn't it? You know, because you can look at your squad one week, and obviously you can get an offer for a player. You know, you can have players that might leave that you didn't necessarily predict would leave. We've got a bank of players that, by all accounts, if you believe, if you read between the lines and you believe reports, that are up for sale or on the loan list. So it is one of those cases. You know, at the end of the day, we might be looking at both players. You know, we might even be talking to both players' camps and so forth, and then maybe depending on which deal, which one's a better deal for us. But like you said, if a good offer came in for someone like Xhaka, and he had an open conversation with Arteta and said he wanted to leave the club, again, we've got a list of targets that we could potentially go to replace him. So I personally don't envision us getting both. I'm not even sure I fully believe that we're linked with. When I say linked, I can see that we're linked, but I'm not sure if I fully believe the links with the Savage deal. But I want to believe them. But I don't. Even if we are, I don't necessarily believe we're going to get both. I can't see us slapping down £100 million on two midfielders, given our current squad and how heavily we stacked are in the middle. But like you, if it was up to me, I'd buy the two of them and I'd deal with the squad numbers later. If I have to unregister a couple of the if I have to not register a couple of the midfielders, then I'll just do that, because for me, those two players literally transform that midfield, and like you say, brings the level completely up. So for me, I personally feel like it will be Tielemans, but if it was up to me, I'd sign both. We've got Big Mike's here. Yes, here again. Yes, lads. And he's coming with his opinions on, obviously, this debate. Savic will elevate the way we play. 100% proper baller. I know you meant elevate. That's why I read it out that way, bro. Don't worry. I got you, bro. I got you. He gets a lot of goals as well. Yeah, Bobby touched upon that. I think it was 22 or 23, goal contributions last season. I think it was his best return, actually, as in his career at Lazio. Big Mike's also saying the role that Xhaka was playing towards the end of last season, Savic would flourish there. We've also got Ellie. Big up Ellie. Yes. You're here in the chat as well. Everyone. And we've also got DG the Ghana. Yes, DG.
Yes, Cosy.
Tracking planes, cars, clouds. What's next? Listen. Stop being skeptical, bro, man. Just ride the wave, man. Enjoy it for what it is, man. But now, all love DG, man. Thank you for joining us. Right. So the last rumor that we're going to cover before we kind of wrap things up. Obviously, the Rafinha deal didn't happen. We slapped down, well, some people say we slapped down the money. Some people say we just inquired the price. We didn't put a bid in. Whoever you want to believe is entirely up to you. What we do know is Chelsea came in with the P's, 65 million, slapped it on the table, and Leeds accepted it. Obviously, Chelsea were bantering us, trolling us all over socials about it, and Barcelona made their move. Rafinha basically is in limbo right now. He doesn't want to sign for Chelsea. He wants to sign for Barcelona, but Barcelona can't seem to... Well, they seem to have the money, but they don't seem to be able to broker a deal that can appease the Leeds hierarchy. So even though a week on from obviously speaking about this transfer and it being hijacked by Chelsea and Barca, Rafinha still is a Leeds player. And is reported that they're expecting him for pre-season next week. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one pans out. But obviously, we were very interested. Reports were we bidded once, possibly even twice. Now, that tells us that we're in the market for a right winger. The whole Gnabry wave came and went. That's gone quiet. But recent links over the last kind of 24 hours or so, or particularly today, has seen us being linked with the Spanish Real Madrid right winger or versatile player, ASENSIO. Now, what are your thoughts with this? Is this a signing that somewhat underwhelms you after obviously the Rafinha links and the Gnabry links, or is this a player that you'd be happy to bring to the carpet this summer?
Yeah, definitely. He's coming from Real Madrid. It's not like Pepe coming from Lille.
Yeah.
He's got Champions League pedigree. He's like 20. How old is he? He's about 24, 25, 26.
Yeah. I think he's mid-20s. I'll double check while you're talking.
So yeah, he's good age, and he'd be a fantastic backup for Saka. But also he can play on the left as well.
Yeah.
Not sure if he can play attacking midfield, but he's a good young Spanish player, man. He's exciting as well. 26. He can score. 26. He can score a goal from distance with either foot. He scored a few nice goals over the years as well. Obviously not getting a look in at Real Madrid because they're spending all their money on the Hazards and Rodrigos and Vinny Juniors, so they don't want their young Spanish boys. They want their shiny new toys, don't they? So if we could get him to back up Saka, or just to be a squad player and push Saka, yeah, man, I'm all for it. I wouldn't, if we spent anything under 50 mil, I think it was a bargain, to be honest. Because some of the money that's been touted for some players, when you think 60 million for Richarlison and things like that, we spent 40 million on Jesus. It's good money, isn't it? Really. So, yeah, man, I'll be all for it if we have him, because he's a good player, very good player. I'm surprised he doesn't get more of a look in at
time.
At Madrid, to be honest. But I think he plays more of their league games, because obviously their league isn't strong. But in the Champions League, against European opposition, they've always played like a defensive kind of player, right? Because I played Valverde there, didn't they, pretty much throughout the whole tournament. So and they bring Rodrigo on the last minute, last few minutes. So he hasn't really got a look in, but good player, man. I've watched a lot of the Spanish league. I've seen a lot of him. He's always been a very good player. He plays for Spain as well, so good pedigree, man. Good player.
Yeah, it's weird because I have seen some concerns online. To be honest, I don't watch much La Liga, so I can't really comment too much myself. But I have seen some people have some concerns over his injury record. But if you believe what some of the Spanish, kind of media outlets are saying, is that a bid has gone in somewhere in the region of 40 million euros. So yeah, it's any concerns about his injury record at all?
I don't really know much about his injury record, to be fair. I haven't watched, because I'm more of a Barcelona fan.
Yeah.
Always kind of have been. So I haven't really watched Real Madrid's squad like that. I'll just talk about what I've seen of the player when I've seen him play, and he always seems to be fairly prominent in the games that he plays. Maybe that's the reason why he doesn't start in the big games, or maybe that's the reason why he hasn't got a run in the team, is because of his injury record. But I don't know. I can't really comment on that.
Yeah. Cool. We've got some comments with regards, obviously, this alternative, and we've got Big Mike saying here, an alternative right winger would be Berardi from Sassuolo, Italian international goal scorer. It's an interesting one with regards to this right wing position, because you see people with a very different opinion. Like, my opinion is very much, I think we share an opinion in that. That's why I was excited about the Rafinha link, because for me, I see a lot of people saying that we just need to buy a backup. That's all we need. We need to buy a player that doesn't necessarily will challenge for Saka's spot, but can fill in when he's tired. And I'm not completely sold on that mentality. For me, I believe Arteta and Edu are not going to buy any players that they don't feel could potentially, warrant a first team spot. And I'm not necessarily sure. Don't get me wrong. I know you've got a 25-man squad. You've got players like Onene. They're not going to play week in, week out. I get that. I do understand that. But when I think of the forward position, and I think of, particularly the right side, and with Saka being as good as he is, I can understand sections of the fan base not wanting to splash out 50, 60, 70 million on a player when we've got Saka, who, let's face it, is probably going to start most of the games. At the same time, I am for that, you know, mentality that having 2 top draw players in each position. So I would much rather us go out and splash 50, 60 million on a winger that will compete with Saka and play across the front three than sign a 15, 20 million pound player. I'm not saying that about ASENSIO, but I would just rather us splash out on a quality player that's going to elevate the squad than sign a 15, 20 million pound player that really Saka's just going to be putting his feet up and thinking, yeah, I'm going to be playing week in, week out.
I think that's a massive point, that is, because where we're heading to that area where we're going to have 2 11s that are as good as each other, and players can come in and do as good a job. The other thing that you've got to remember with Saka is he's still young as well, and he's still developing. When you look at, I mean, I think last season, I don't think it held him back in his development, but we all saw at times when he needed to have a spell out of the team. He gets kicked every week and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at, compare Sancho and Phil Foden, for instance. Now, Foden had massive spells out of the Man City team, but he's won 3 Premier Leagues or 4 Premier Leagues. But he had massive spells where he just wasn't playing. He was just always on the bench. And everyone was going crazy saying, why isn't he playing? Why isn't he playing? But when you look at him now and you see how good he is, that's obviously helped him those times out of the team. Sometimes sitting on the bench and watching and having a Mahrez or a Bernardo Silva or a Sterling helps elevate you. So for Saka to, you know, not even be dropped, but just put on the bench for, say, 5 games on the trot, and for us to have a Rafinha or a ASENSIO or a Diaby or any of these other top wingers would be good for Saka's development, as well as his development physically, because that means he's not going to be playing week in, week out, and he's not going to be burning himself out, which, when you look at Sancho, maybe that's what's happened to him, because he played pretty much every game at Dortmund. Everyone thought he was amazing. He's come to Manchester United. What's he done? Absolutely nothing. You know, so I don't know, maybe getting another winger would be good for Saka in the ways of gives him a rest, elevates him as a player, but then also elevates our squad as well, because it means that Saka can have 5 games out, just play FA Cup games for a couple of weeks, and we've got ASENSIO in there who will still chip in with the odd goal, get a few assists. You know what I'm saying? And that's what that's the kind of squad that it seems like Mikel and Edu are building. You know, good young players that can come in, come out, all do various jobs, and it's going to make us stronger. Yeah, so yeah, man, 100%. I'm all for ASENSIO all day.
Definitely. And we've got here Big Mike's. Obviously, these are the stats for Berardi. Last season, he got 15 goals and 14 assists. That's some return.
Big player.
Thank you for that. We've got GK here. ASENSIO gets a screamer from outside the box. We've also got doesn't start much and injured at times. Yeah, that is something I've seen on the timeline, a bit of a concern. I got to see more of ASENSIO. I wouldn't say he's a prolific scorer, more an impact player. And lastly, I'd put ASENSIO on the caliber of ESR, but a better shooter. Okay. And that's it. That pretty much rounds up tonight's show. We've been on air 50 minutes. Yeah. Obviously, we're going to be back next Wednesday for obviously, you know, more episode 7, believe it or not, episode 7 of the Rumour Mill. I don't even know how many episodes are going to be between now and the season, but we're definitely going to probably get into double figures. But yeah, so in terms of when we're back, I'm not sure if we've got any streams lined up between now and next Wednesday. I know Lottie obviously is at the women's game tonight. She probably might have a couple of shows between now and next Wednesday. But in terms of the Rumour Mill episode 7, we will be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. So do stay tuned for that. If for whatever reason you haven't liked the video, please do like the video. If for whatever strange reason you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. And yeah, Bobby, any last words?
No, man, I'm just, as I said last week, looking forward to next week's show to see what twists and turns this transfer period has taken. Hopefully, we've got a Martinez over the line, and we've put a bid in for Savage, which he's just in the process of discussing personal terms. Yeah, see you in 7 days.
Yeah, 100%, man. And on that note, you know what? Until next time, keep chatting.